everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Real Deal, where I come at you with straight truth and real history and facts and information which they try to hide from you nowadays. You can go on Google and look this stuff up, and it's going to take you a lot of stuff to find the truth. So I'll just come at you with the real truth. I'm The Real Deal. So, June 14th, Flag Day. That's when they had the No Kings protest all across America, mainly in your bigger cities. Some of your smaller communities had them, but it was mainly your bigger cities. And the turnout was, decent size and stuff. Most of them were peaceful protest. And they were going out against Donald Trump, the president, because, well, first off, they don't like him. Plain and simple. They just don't like him. Now, I will tell you this. If Donald Trump was a Democrat and doing the same things he does now, they would love him. And that's how a lot of these people are. If it's their person, their political party, no matter what they do, they'll be all for it. Heck, most Democrats in the United States would vote for Adolf Hitler, knowing what he did to the Jews, if he was a Democrat. They just pull that switch because, that's how it is. I'm just telling the truth, and you know it. So, all across America, they had these protests, and they were upset because Donald Trump said he was a king. Well, Donald Trump did say he was a king because he did something to stop the congestion of money in New York. And when he did that, he made a joke about it, saying, "Long live the king." He posted it on Truth Social, and everybody jumped on board with that. And it's a joke, people. Just like I'll see people post pictures of him. And he likes to, well, I won't say he closes his eyes, but, every now and then he'll have his eyes closed for a second or two in deep thought. Like he's picking up on something or he's thinking about something. So what they do is they take these pictures of him and saying, he fell asleep here, he did this, he did that. Look, he can't even stay awake here. He's old. But at the same time, when you said that about Joe Biden, who really did fall asleep at places and couldn't complete a sentence, you couldn't criticize him. That's not allowed. That was a bad thing. Leave him alone. That's ageism. But then they do the very same thing, even worse. So let's get back to the protest. It was June 14th, 2025. Now, do you know what happened on that day in 1775, before the United States was even considered a real country, before we declared independence? That was the birth date, the anniversary of the United States Army. So therefore, President Trump and others were planning a parade, and they've been planning this for years. The official approval, there we go, had to think of the word, sorry, but the official approval came, and it was signed by Joe Biden last year, 2024, but it was supposed to be a low-key thing. They weren't going to go all out or anything. Well, Trump wanted more. He felt that the United States and the military should get more accolades than they do. And I will say this. I had a lot of family serve in the United States military, all branches. I lost family in the military. I remember as a young kid watching the black sedan with the flags on it pull up to the neighbor's house across the street from me and give the guy a wrapped up American flag for his 19-year-old son who never came back from Vietnam. So these things hit home. I remember it quite well. And that was very sad. We couldn't understand. And I was looking around at the other kids in the neighborhood who were close to the draft age thinking, it could be one of my friends getting over there. And for what? For what? I love the Vietnam veterans. God bless you all. But that war never should have happened. But I digress. We honored the United States military. Trump went all out. People were talking it cost $46.5 million. Yeah, and it was a private independent agency that paid for it. Just like he just put 2 giant flagpoles up at the White House with big American flags on them, United States flags. When I refer to America, I'm talking about the United States of America. Yes, I know there's a South America. I get it. But I'm talking about USA. And he paid for that out of his own pocket. And you can say, well, he should. He's a billionaire. Well, okay then. He did. What's your problem? He also doesn't take any salary, unlike the last president, who's a career politician and worth mega $1 million. So Trump had a huge parade. And a lot of people tried to turn it around saying he's full of himself. It's his birthday. Well, good for him being born on Flag Day. Bless him for that. You know, he didn't make it about him. Nobody's saying happy birthday. He made it about the United States and the military. And they were sitting there going, well, he's just doing this as a display of strength to the other countries in the world. Well, no, he wasn't. If he wanted to do that, he would have had the Air Force really involved and the Marines, and everybody would have been out there. I know a lot of countries do that. Russia, China, they like to have parades, North Korea. And a lot of that, though, is our mainstream media reports it as they're showing their strength. But if you were to look into that, Russia has parades to honor their military, honor their people. You know, China does the same thing. North Korea, yes, they had something a few years ago where they were marching through the streets and stuff. It was big parades. And Kim was out there, you know, he's saluting them, he's waving to them and stuff. And it was to not show off what they got, but it was to honor people. But the American mainstream media is controlled by a bunch of huge corporations, and they try to turn it around and brainwash everybody. And it works because there's stupid people out there. I used to say ignorant about them, but now I'm just convinced many of them are stupid, brainwashed puppets. And they sit there and they say, look what they're doing. They're doing this. Oh, he's an evil dictator. And I will say this, too, while we're on North Korea subject. Y'all got to remember, who walked into North Korea? A man walked into North Korea. And I'm not talking about Dennis Rodman. President Trump walked into freaking North Korea when the whole world thought it was going to be World War III. And you don't hear much from them anymore, do you? So, anyway, they had these parades, the festival, or protests all over the country while Trump had his parade in the evening. And it was a beautiful parade. It was very nice. Him and Melania was out there, and she's a beautiful, classy woman. I have a lot of respect for her. And people say, well, she just married him for the money. You jealous? You jealous? I mean, good for her. You know, she's gorgeous. So what if she married him for the money? I don't believe she did. And if she did, who cares? It's none of your business. It's not your money. Don't worry about it. She's a great mom. And she speaks, I believe, 3 languages. And I'm the kind of person that I go everywhere and I talk to everybody. Total strangers. I have met a lot of famous people that make more while I'm talking to them than I'll ever make in a lifetime. I have handwritten letters from people. I have a handwritten letter from Melania. I have something from her son. I have stuff from presidents. I have handwritten letters, not just form letters, from congressmen and all kinds of people. And that's what I find. They're just regular people like me and you, and some of them will talk to you and some won't. And some of them are some of the nicest down-to-earth people, and it's like, hey, here's a real dude that just wants to have a conversation and isn't going to be a prick to me, doesn't want to call me out for something. Now, I don't agree with Trump and all that he does. I don't agree with any president and all that they do. If I did, I'd be a brainwashed puppet, and you'd probably call me a liberal. But anyway, let's go back now. Flag Day. Here's all the anti-American protests. They're like, we don't want kings. Well, I'll tell you right now. Most people, realize that we haven't had any issues with a king since July 4th, 1776, which is coming up next year. It's going to be our 250th anniversary birthday of the United States of America. And that was when we sent King George III a nice little up you, buddy, with a middle finger telling him we are an independent nation. And that's when we didn't have anything to do with kings. Now, a lot of these people out there, they don't realize that. Again, I claim they could be ignorant, but then again, I think a lot of them are blinded by politics, blinded by stupidity, blinded by hate. There's a lot of hatred out there. I looked at all these pictures from all across the country, all these videos, the people marching, and it was really weird because a majority of the people that were there were white. Even in communities where a majority of the citizens are black or minorities, it was weird to see mostly white people there. I didn't see any American flags flying. Nobody's proud of America. All the flags flying were upside down or on signs upside down, which is basically you do that to let people know you're in trouble. It's been that way for years. And so they're letting people know America's in trouble because they don't like Trump. They don't like Republicans. I hear it all the time. And it's funny, if you're a Republican, they go after you, and that's okay. If they're a Democrat and you say something, you're a bad guy. It's hypocrisy, and it's one of my biggest pet peeves. And I will call people out for it. You know me. I'll tell it like it is, like I'm telling you right now. Everything I'm telling you is 1,000,000% truth. I don't have to lie. I don't have to hide behind anything. I don't have to give half-truths. I tell the truth. So we told King George III, up yours, buddy. So we don't deal with kings anymore. And what Trump did was very good. It worked out perfect. 250 years. Flag Day was on a Saturday, so all these people could go there and stuff. We didn't have to pay a dime for it. But these people, we spent all this money. No, we didn't. But you don't mind giving $200 billion, if not more, that's just what we know of, to Ukraine? America's at war with Russia. We've been at war with Russia for several years. Only we're not putting troops on the ground, but we're giving Ukraine, we're giving them our weapons, and we're giving them a ton of money, and a lot of people give them support. And they only see the mainstream media thing. Now, if you were to go and do a little research, just because you're taught to hate Russia your whole life, because you are, I mean, growing up, that's what we were taught, to hate Russia. Russia's the enemy. The Cold War. Cold War never really officially ended. It made it sound like it is, but it's still going on. But we're at war with Russia, and Russia knows it, and that's why they resent us. Personally, I know a little bit about what's going on with that, and I'll touch on that on a subject one day. I'll have an individual podcast about that, and your mind will be blown, because the American mainstream media, once again, are the puppet masters, and they're telling you what to think and feel, and people will do it. Now, a lot of these people were out there on Flag Day, and they didn't even know it was Flag Day, probably. They didn't care. But they're at the protest, and there's all these signs. I didn't see one pro-Israel sign. I did not see any Israeli flags out there because they're all free Palestine. And I'm going to go off on that one day. So pay attention, because I'm going to teach you the truth on that. Because that is just a pack of lies too. But these people, wow, it just blows my mind. How can you hate Israel? Israel's done nothing wrong except try to defend itself. Anyway, I saw a lot of pro-Palestine stuff, down with Israel, negativity. I saw a lot of threats to Trump, a lot of the 86-47 signs. I saw the screaming Karens out there, and, you didn't see anything positive about our troops, which many have died. Like I stated earlier, I've lost family. They died so I could be here right now doing this. A lot of countries, I can't do this. And if we lost these wars, I wouldn't be able to do this. And they wouldn't be able to be out there protesting. Because there's rules for different countries and different dictatorships. And if we lost and we weren't the United States of America, and let's say the Nazis taken over, I couldn't do this. They couldn't be out there protesting against the government. And there would be kings still. So I'm very grateful for the United States military for what they do. For protecting us. For standing up for us. Because when they're out there, they sign a blank check saying, I will give my life for the United States citizens. God bless them for that. But these people at the protests, they don't see it that way. And that's sad. That's really sad. And, they were for the most part peaceful protests, but they really didn't make a point on anything. They didn't solve anything. Everything's still going on around you. Trump laughed about it. He's like, oh, good, I'm still king. Okay, they didn't take over anything. He made jokes, and they take that and run with it. And like I said, a majority of them were white, And these are people that stand out there and say Black Lives Matter, and they live in a 99% white community. And I'm like, where are the black people at? Oh, that's right. With your systemic racism and redlining, they're not allowed or able to afford to live in your rich-ass community. Did you know the average house in America right now is $407,000? I saw a house in my old neighborhood in San Francisco. It's going for $937,000. It's a condominium, 700 freaking square foot. I got a garage that's bigger than that. Good googly moogly, what's wrong with this country? And that neighborhood's not all that, man. I mean, that's why I lived there. It wasn't all that. I could afford it. But you see these people out there protesting, and I've seen it for years, and I protested before and stuff. But we're trying to change the world for everybody. We try to change the world for everybody. Let me tell you about the definition of liberal. The true definition of a liberal, now I sound like them. A true definition of a liberal means basically liberty. Liberty, freedom, equality for everybody, whether you agree with them or not. So if you're a real liberal, you want freedom for both sides. And I always say both sides, left wing, right wing, it's in the same bird. We have to meet in the middle and get along if we want to change this world. We have to learn to see eye to eye. Because if we don't, the whole world's going to go blind, man. Plain and simple. And, and I will say this, there's a lot of people on the far right, a lot of Republicans out there, same way. They criticize, they don't want to change, they don't want to see eye to eye. And I get it. There's hatred, there's ignorance on both sides. And I will say there are a lot of people that, they always say MAGA is a cult, the Make America Great Again crowd. And I do see people like that. Trump could do anything he wanted to and they'll vote for it because they don't know. I know people that have never been involved in politics or anything in their life, never even voted till he ran. Not even in a local election. And that's rude because to me, local elections are more important than anything. And those people, well, both sides have their problems. But what they did on Flag Day is Trump honored Flag Day. Now, Flag Day became, it's not a federal holiday, but it is a recognized holiday, and it was approved in 1949 by Harry S. Truman. But it was put out there in 1919 and 1927. I can't remember both presidents. I know Calvin Coolidge was the one probably in 27. But it never got technically approved. It's not a federal holiday, but it is a recognized holiday. And I think that's great. And instead of honoring it, you want to go and protest against the so-called king. Hey, that's cool. That's your freedom. But remember those people that died for your freedom. You have to honor those people. And if you don't, well, up yours. Anyway, so a lot of them also are going off, and you'll see this. And I think many people get their news from Facebook and social media, or the fake news from Wikipedia. I call it Fakepedia. And they get a lot of their news from those sources. Now, Wikipedia has some reliability to it, but a lot of it is written by anybody. I edit stuff. Anybody can get on there and do it. And then somebody else can get on there and edit it to benefit them, and so forth. But a lot of these people are out there, they're dogging out ice. Now, I personally like ice. It keeps my drink cool. I got no problem with it. All right, that's funny right there. You got to laugh. So, and I know this podcast might be a little long, but if you go spend an hour in church listening once a week to the same thing you can read in the book and get on your own, which I know most people don't even read the Bible, and it's so misinterpreted anymore that you're not really getting the truth out of it. But if you can listen to that, then you can listen to me, because I'm going to give you just as much, if not more, facts and information. Appreciate the support. But they're out there talking about ICE. Trump did this. Trump's deporting people. Trump's doing this. Well, let me tell you, people. Trump is way behind on the deportation rate. Do you know which president holds the record for the most deportations? Barack Obama. And do you know which president in only 4 years supported 4.4 million illegal aliens? Joe Biden. If you add up his Title 42, Article 42 deportations with everything else, he had 4.4 million in 4 years. That's a lot. That is a lot. Now, if he had another 4 years, I can only imagine what it'd be. I personally feel if you're here illegally, I can't go to Canada without a passport or an enhanced license. I can't go to Mexico without a passport. Those are my neighbors. I can't do that. I can't just roll into there. Now, let's say I go to Canada, I get in there without a passport. They're going to arrest me. Let's say I get a job, I buy a house and everything else, and I lie about everything, and I don't have papers, and they catch me. I'm going to jail. I'm losing everything I own. And if they can make money off me, if they say, hey, this guy's got some clout here, we could probably get a little something from the government for him, they wouldn't. Well, I don't know. Trump kind of likes me. He does pay me to stay away from Melania because, what can I say? I'm attractive and she loves me. I'm gorgeous. No, but, I mean, he'd probably be like, bring him home. Bring him home now. Love that guy. He's great. I want him here. But, you know, these people, they're out there protesting against the illegals and Trump doing this and that, but they don't know the truth. And if you tell them that, now, let me tell you this, too. I can tell them that and they won't listen to me. But the things I just said, and like I said, I always tell the truth. I have statistics. I have facts backing me up. Those statistics I just gave you with Obama and Biden, those are from the Federal Bureau Government Statistic Board. That is what they put out there. That's not just me coming up with numbers, adding 2 plus 2 and it equals 1,000. That is the federal government statistics. Those are true, people. So when you present that to some, they're going to argue with you. Trump did this, Trump did that. Trump's way behind on the deportations, man. Way behind. He's got a long way to go. I think he's deported like maybe 1.2 million in over 4 years. And he's not even on the top of the list. George W. Bush is way ahead of him. You know? And these people are out there protesting against that. And I'm looking at this like, why don't you guys do a little research? And it's okay when their guy does something wrong. That's the problem. And they'll look away or make excuses. Well, you know, and they say, well, they're here doing the jobs that Americans won't do. No, the illegals are here doing the jobs Americans won't do for $1 an hour. We want to get paid for what we're doing because these big corporations are making a ton of money and they're taking advantage of these poor people. That's what they're doing. They don't pay them much. And they're doing good. These people are happy because it's better than what they had. It's better than Mexico. I don't blame them for wanting to come. We're a great country for the most part. I don't blame them for wanting to be here. And I know for a fact I have a lot of Mexican friends that were born here. I have first generation people that came here from Mexico. And they are my friends and they came here legally. They don't like it when illegals come here because they did it legally, so can they. Like I said, I talk to everybody. When I'm at a hotel, I'll talk to the Mexican maids there or the guys doing the room service or maintenance. And they don't like illegals because they're like, I came here. I have to pay for a work visa. They can do the same thing. I agree with them. So it's not that they're doing jobs that we won't do. It's just we're not going to go pick fruit for $1 an hour. And basically these companies are taking advantage of them. And they're saving a ton of money. And do they pass the savings on to the people? No. These corporations are making millions, billions of dollars. You know, they're not saying, oh, well, I only had to pay Pablo, $15 today. So we can take these strawberries and sell them for 50 cents a quart. No. $4 a quart. Pablo, screw you. If you give me a hard time, I'll deport you myself. I'll turn you into ICE. When I grew up, it was INS, Immigration and Naturalist Services. Oh, another thing. Most people don't even know what ICE stands for. Come on, people. But anyway, I grew up, and I was out in California living, and I lived in the barrio because, like I said, it was cheap. I could afford to live in these places. And I used to get hassled all the time because it's Mexican neighborhood, a lot of drugs and stuff down there. And cops would always hassle me walking home or riding my bike home from work, and they'd come point blank. What's a white guy doing down here? They'd tell me that. And I'd show him my ID, and one time the guy said, you do live in the flats. I'm like, why would I lie to you, dude? I live here. He's like, why do you live here? No white people live down here. I'm like, I do. Hassled me. I never had a problem. As far as the Mexicans went, I didn't care. The police would always hassle me, though. And I would see INS come down there, and you'd be walking, and all of a sudden you'd hear Amiga, and half the streets they would bail, and you'd see a lot of the older Mexican people and some of the younger ones too, and they'd be shaking their head, and you'd hear them talking like, hey, I came here legally, you can do it too, so get out of here. Because they look at it this way. They worked hard, they sacrificed, they paid a lot of money to get here. And they didn't feel that you should just be able to walk in here. They knew they wanted to be free and stuff and have some things. Then you had a lot of the people down there selling dope, and a lot of the older people didn't care much for that, you know? So I wish a lot of people would wake up and realize things. What we don't have anymore is a lot of people with compassion and empathy anymore. We also don't have a lot of people that think straight. It's really sad. And you get them talking about like, oh, well, we stole that land from Mexico. We should give it back. And I tell them, they'd say this in California too when I was there, and I'd tell them, okay, give it back. Well, no, I paid for it. But it's stolen land, so you're basically an accessory to a felony. You know, I mean, you helped commit a felony, and they wouldn't like that. It's funny. I saw somebody one time, and they were talking about, I wish everybody could sit in the front row. We were at a stadium. And I said, so why don't you sell your seats? They're like, I'm not doing that. Why don't you give your seats to the poor? I'm not doing that. Just like these people that talk about everybody should live in a nice house. Why don't you help them? Well, they can help themselves. I worked hard for what I have. No, you didn't. Most of the people out there that are like at these protests, you come from white privilege. You didn't struggle. Coming from $500,000 homes. I know a lot of these people out there. You know? I know what struggle's like. Shoot, the protests in Flint, hardly anybody was there. That's a poor city, man. Did you know that? Flint, Michigan. Poorest city in America, man. It's a sad situation, man. But people don't care. People don't care at all. Like I said, they'll go and hold a sign saying, Black Lives Matter. Okay, cool. That's true. But did you change anybody's mind with a sign? Did you influence anybody? Did you help any black people? No. Because there's none in your all-white community, cracker. Man, get it together. But they sit there and they say, we stole all this land. Yeah, America, the United States did colonize a little bit of land in the beginning, but they don't know their history. We bought the land of California, New Mexico, Arizona, and more. And we got a heck of a deal. What it was is we fought with Mexico 1846, 1848. We had a fight with Mexico, and when it all came down to it, we negotiated, and we bought that stuff for $15 million cash. In 1848, there was the Mexican Cession, and we bought a little land, the Gadsden Purchase, and that was expensive. But the one we bought, the Mexican Cession, was $15 million, which was a lot of freaking money. And that's about, in today's money, it's about $611 million. The Louisiana Purchase, we paid for that. We bought that land. You know, we didn't steal that land. And people are sitting there going, well, they stole that land. They should give it back to the natives. Start with you. You give your land back to the natives. Or how about this? Hey, Native Americans, grab your guns and go take your land back. Well, they can't do that. Why not? Why not? They stole the land. You said yourself, they stole the land. America stole the land. If America's so bad, do something. Fix it. Fix it for the better for everybody. Or get out. It's not that hard, people. So if you don't like it, leave. I don't have a problem. I try to fix things. I try to change things. I'm very involved politically. I get a hold of I know my congressmen. I know my senators. I write congressmen for other states to let them know they're doing a good job. Thanks for supporting my people. Thanks for supporting this. They like it. They need to hear that. But most people, all they do is complain and whine, and they don't do a damn thing to try to fix anything. And that's the problem. They go out there, they cry, they complain, they hold signs, they don't do anything, they're not active. You know, I like action. And I'm not talking violent action. I like positive action. That means more to me than any sign or any word will mean. All right? So listen up. Action, not words. That's what I want to see. And I want people to be smart, okay? Be informed. If you're going to protest or be against something, know what you're talking about, people. All right? Peace and love to everybody. Freedom and equality for everybody. I'll catch you on the flip side real soon. Peace.